ended the year like this. CM Punk walked into the Vision's house and stole the whole segment. Gunther treated R-Truth like a speed bump. And the Usos reminded everybody we're not nostalgia, we're still the standard in the division. But the real question is, if Braun Breaker is the now, why did Punk made him sound like the Nets draft pick? What up, everybody? Welcome back to the T-Drop, the only wrestling breakdown show where we don't just call out the spots. We call out the chaos and the no soft behavior energy in wrestling. This is Monday Night Raw, December 29th, 2025, live from the Kia Center in Orlando, Florida. Why anyone would want to say that and nobody cares. Anyway, let's move on. The last Raw of the year and the final stop before next week's big show, the Netflix anniversary on January 5th at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. And this episode had one job: set that tone for January 5th and make the road to the Royal Rumble feel real. Let's hope. Let's get into it. We kick off with a recap of Austin Theory's audition for his match, right? That's what we were trying to say. Audition for the Vision last week. And then boom, the Vision is out there trying to sell us a future as Raw started. Paul Heyman does the Heyman thing. You're looking at the future WrestleMania main eventers. The crowd gives him a CM Punk chant, and Heyman basically says, "Thank you for your irrelevant opinions." Pure classic Paul Heyman. Theory starts talking like a guy who just got accepted into the cool table at lunch, and that's when Punk interrupts, because Punk doesn't do pep rallies. Punk does pressure tests. Punk says, "Look, the title match is set for next week. I could walk down there and get jumped, sure, but then there's no title match, and WWE doesn't get what it wants." And then Punk steps into the ring and looks at Braun like, "All right, kid, let's hear it." And Braun goes off. He's tired of being called the future because he's the now. He talks about pressure, legacy, being a dog, the wrestling family, and drops the Ravens line. While Punk was grinding, Braun was on the field. Braun's best line in Spirit is basically, "Stop waiting for me to fail. There isn't another me." And then Punk does what Punk does. He doesn't yell. He frames. He puts the title on the mat and says, "Pick it up. It's heavier than you think." And then he hits Braun with the real dagger. You can be ready, you can be talented, you can be explosive, but you're not taking this from me on January 5th, because one of us is CM Punk, and that's why Punk is Punk. He didn't win by volume, he won by certainty. The takeaway of this, the segment made January 5th feel bigger. So more eyes is going to be on the content, hopefully, for them coming tomorrow. And it also quietly exposes the Vision's issue. They look like a brand, but Punk still feels like a man. Anyway, we get next. After that's probably one of the best segments in the night. Raquel promised no tricks. Live once, Judgment Day momentum. Roxanne lurking, and we get Stephanie Vaquer defending against Nikki Bella, which, by the way, she changed her outfit today for that night. And we get Stephanie Vaquer defending her title against Nikki Bella and Raquel Rodriguez. The match... The match starts quick between all three of them. Vaquer rolls up, Bella breaking the devil's kicks. Action spills outside, and the core story is simple. Vaquer is slick, Bella is a veteran, and Raquel is all power. There are good bits in this match. Bella's STF spot gets the crowd trolling hilariously with "Thank you, Cena." Becerra's double underhook in the codebreaker moment creates a pop. And Raquel looks like a threat, as always, because she should. But the finish is the point at this point, because Becerra steals the pin on Bella and retains. And here's the take. Nikki did fine in a triple threat structure, but we have to stop pretending modern title scenes need Bella in the middle of them. The girl's a Hall of Famer. She doesn't need this. There is a role for Nikki Bella, but it just shouldn't be repeat challenger while Becerra keeps beating her. Let Becerra versus Raquel Rodriguez breathe without her being the third wheel. So hopefully after this, we are done with Nikki Bella wanting a title, and we can move on with just Stephanie Becerra going against Raquel Rodriguez. It was a waste of time. I just rather move on. So hopefully we get something better at Royal Rumble. I don't care in the next couple weeks, even next week, tomorrow. I don't care. Let's move on to the next thing. Kabuki Warriors show up in the ring after this match, and the Kabuki Warriors brag. Asuka cuts off Kairi, and we get the brawl with Rhea and Io. Io getting launched into the announcer's table, and this becomes basically, that's the visual. The angle did what it needed. Sell next week's women's tag title situation as a volatile match between all these women. So they're getting people's attentions for this tag title match, which is kind of hard to do given that the women's tag title has become irrelevant for many people. But anyway, we move on. Gunther, still on his I Made Cena tap out tour, to the point that for the first time ever that I can remember, he's wearing a t-shirt. He's never wearing a t-shirt. He's usually in suits or in his ring gear. He's never in between. He's wearing a shirt of John Cena, of him making John Cena tap out, and he puts tap out like a ... because we all know what he said a few weeks back. He's going to keep trolling. Anyway, R-Truth confronts him to say the disrespect has to stop, and then Truth whispers something in Gunther's ear that Gunther hates, and Gunther basically goes, "Cool, I'll fight you." So a match began. The match is exactly what it should be. Gunther chops him, slows it down, toys with him, sleeper end. This wasn't about Truth. This was Gunther continuing the message. The Cena era is over, and he's not sorry. And Truth is perfect for this role, because he can take a beating and still make the heel look worse. And we move on. Rey Mysterio versus this guy. Rey runs into Punk earlier before this and says he got backup tonight. Punk approves. Then it's Rey Mysterio versus this guy, Austin Theory, with Logan Paul at ringside. Oh boy. Jesus. Theory dominates the grind parts. Rey sparks the comeback, sits 190s, and then Logan jumps Rey for the DQ. So nothing happens in this match. That tells you the Vision's playbook at this point. Protect Theory, keep him unpinned, keep him useful. Anyway, post-match, they basically started a beatdown. The beatdown started, and then out of nowhere, Penta returns for the save. I guess for this week, that's the great O moment and a clean way to pop the crowd. The takeaway for this, Theory can't just be the Vision's punching bag. If he's in the group, he needs a moment where he looks like a future star, not just a protected asset. So he should have just done a clean win, even if it's a little heelish win. But a win, a DQ finish like that doesn't help Theory at all. But what the hell do I know? I'm not a sports person. I don't do sports things. I'm not Sports Illustrated. What do I know? I'm just a fan that watched wrestling for a while and know what works. Anyway, Maxine comes out feeling like a badass. She's feeling herself. She made Becky tap last week. She's defending the championship next week. Becky interrupts with pure, typical Becky energy. And she says the only thing she tapped out was living in Orlando. Okay. Then Becky tries to give her credit. Basically saying you've improved. Not enough, but you've improved. So a little slap back on that. Maxine name dropping Sports Illustrated like next week even. They'll say you tapped out. That was the button push. This was a good segment because it framed the match as Maxine's confidence versus Becky's reality check. So we will see tomorrow what happens. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. She's been good so far since her training with Natalya. So can't go wrong. Before this match, I'm showing Trick Williams backstage meeting Adam Pearce, leaving the card nice future business card. Bayley calling Pearce a bald idiot. Because why not, Bayley? Pearce wanting a drink after. It's just basically the typical what they're trying to do going forward with Raw. Pearce is just a punching bag to the staff. And all they do is complain to him, demand shit from him. It's just annoying. But yeah, the man is the MVP and GM archetype right now because he's just taking all these insults. But anyway, we move on to some main event energy between AJ Styles and Dragon Lee defending against the Usos. This was good. It had structure, pacing, big near falls, and everybody looked credible in this match. Dragon Lee's dives looked insane. Styles was crisp as he always is. Usos were veteran killers. And the finish hits the reset button. 1D gets the pin. New champions. This is the right call. Styles Lee were never a long-term team. The Usos winning gives the division a familiar anchor, while the road to the Rumble ramps up. Raw ended the 2025 year in a clean fashion. Sorry. Ugh. Raw ended the year in a clean fashion. Punk and Braun made January 5th feel huge, which they did. Becky retain, but Bella needs to hopefully exit the orbit after this. Gunther stayed disrespectful and dominant, like he always should. And the Usos are back on top. Drop your thoughts. Who won the night? Punk, Becky, or the Usos? Hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next T-Drop. Cool. Oh. Alright, let's move on to the